We are talking hearing loss, Microtia and Atresia. My name is Viola, and I am the founder of Given Ear Foundation. And today it is World Hearing Day, and we are going to be speaking to parents and an audiologist who is going to give us more information about the relationship between Microtia, Atresia, and hearing. Thank you so much to all the ladies who came and joined in on the live stream today. I just want to firstly introduce Tanya Hanekom, who is our audiologist. Tanya, can you just say something as we welcome you to the platform?
Perfect. Thanks, Viola. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to meet with you and chat with you on World Hearing Day. And just as a brief introduction, I'm an audiologist. I'm practicing at the Sandton Clinic at Sandton Hearing and Balance, where I've been now for 14 years. And I'm a representative both of the Reconnect Audiology Network, which is a national network of audiologists around South Africa, as well as the South African Association of Audiologists, which is an association of every audiologist working in public and private health, and of course education in South Africa. So I'll give you some more information about those associations and the network later, because I do believe that every parent who has a child with Microtia and Atresia needs to be supported by their own audiologist, to have somebody in your corner as you navigate the journey of having a child with Microtia and or Atresia. So thanks, Viola.
Thank you so much, Tanya. And also joining us, we have a parent who is a parent to a child with bilateral Microtia. Her name is Rochelle Chedie. Rochelle, can you just introduce yourself quickly to us?
Hi, everybody. So my name is Rochelle Chedie. I'm a mom to a very gorgeous, almost 5-year-old with bilateral Microtia. I'm also a board member of the Given Ear Foundation. And through my child being born with this condition, I was able to find direction with the Given Ear Foundation. I think like most moms, I didn't know what the condition was when she was born. I was clueless and I was lost. And through the storm, I found my anchor of hope, Viola, and the foundation. And through her guidance and her expertise and just her connecting us with the right people, we were able to get hearing aids for Bella at 3 months old. So, we're here. I'm proud to be part of the organization and be a blessing. So yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rochelle. And we also have Fahima Syed, who is also a parent to a child with unilateral. Can you introduce yourself to us, Fahima?
Oh, hi, everyone. I'm Fahima. I have a son, Mohammed Yan, who is 3 years old. He's born with Microtia of the left ear. And just as Rochelle has mentioned, when Mohammed Yan was born, it was quite a shock to us. We had no idea what Microtia was or what he even had. We didn't even know it was called Microtia. And the doctors around us didn't know what it was either. Until we went to an audiologist, and then they told us what it was. And it was very, very overwhelming at first because nobody could help us. And we are so thankful and so grateful to have been in contact with Viola and the Given Ear Foundation. And our journey has been a good one so far. So we're looking forward to all the wonderful opportunities that are coming with the organization. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for making your time to be with us. We were actually also supposed to be joined by Dr. Lamola, an ENT at the Nelson Mandela Children's Hospital, but immediately he had an emergency and he had to go into surgery. So he's not going to be able to join us for the stream. So Tanya, it is all on your hands. And we just want to just kick in there and just start with the questions, because we are just wanting to use this platform to inform parents about hearing loss, World Hearing Day. And the theme for the year is to hear for life and listen with care. So I just want us to just firstly, Tanya, if you can just help us in defining what is hearing loss and also the importance of balanced hearing?
Okay, so of course, hearing loss implies that you've lost something, right? So
Yes.
in the case of people who have regular normal hearing status with no pathology of the ear, there is a certain range of sounds that you're able to hear, and you're able to hear those sounds down to a very soft level. As soon as those levels become compromised and you're needing to make the sound louder at certain frequencies or direct it through different means, like with Microtia and Atresia, then of course it can be defined as hearing loss, where it's necessary to intervene with some sort of amplification in the form of hearing aids or a bone conduction device. When there is Microtia, of course, as you all know, you're well versed in it, but I'm just going to touch base in case there's somebody who doesn't know what Microtia is. Microtia, of course, refers to the creation, the shape, the size of the outer ear itself. Whether or not it's well formed meaning in a typical way, so you can get various grades of Microtia where it's more of a simple cup, or just a small tag of the ear, or the outer ear can be missing altogether. And then Atresia, of course, refers to the ear canal itself. So the ear canal can either be very narrow or sort of narrow and end in a sort of blind, so it doesn't go all the way to the eardrum. The ear canal isn't formed all the way to the eardrum, or it can be missing altogether, and there is no ear canal whatsoever, and there's no ear hole. And of course, as a parent, and I've seen this time and time again, where parents look at of course, they see the structure of the ear first and foremost, because that's the thing that's the most noticeable. And there's this natural inclination to say, well, if the ear looks okay, then my child will be able to hear. And there are actually two distinct conversations that need to take place. One is the appearance of the ear and the cosmetic surgery that a family may or may not choose to engage in. And then the second conversation, of course, is the hearing and giving that ear the access to sound. And they're actually function independently of each other. Just because an ear looks normal, it doesn't mean that it's going to hear normally. But we can get to that a bit later. When it comes to having balanced hearing, Viola, what we refer to is bilateral hearing. Bilateral meaning, of course, two sides. So typically, if someone has two ears and the hearing in both ears is the same, what happens from a brain point of view is that you get this bilateral processing. So, of course, the ears pick up sound and send it through up to the level of the brainstem. But beyond the brainstem, there's an incredible amount of crossover that happens at various levels in the brain, until that sound comes up to the point of the language centers in the brain. And a lot of the processing that takes place at different levels determines how your brain is able to tell where sound is coming from, differences in pitch, differences in timing. And those cues give our brains a lot more information about the soundscape that surrounds us, as opposed to functioning with just one ear. So even if you have normal hearing in one ear, that gives you a normal access to the full range of sound. It doesn't necessarily give you that bilateral processing ability, which is important for your classroom, listening in noisy environments. And I mean, even our homes can be very noisy when there are kids around. So yeah, it allows the brain to process information that comes from both ears. And unfortunately, with Microtia and Atresia, there's a lack of that bilateral processing, and we can talk a little bit more about the different technology options later in the conversation.
Awesome. I also just wanted to find out from you if you have a child. Like for me personally, this is for me personally as a parent with a child with unilateral Microtia. I get worried when he has to put a hearing, what do they call? What do they call those hearing? Microphone or
Earphone.
whatever. Earphones.
Headphones.
Thank you. So when he has to put a earphone in one of the ears, because obviously he can't use it on the other one, and I'm worried about the levels and is it going to damage his hearing? What can I do? Because I get a bit uncomfortable with him putting the earphone, because I really don't want him to damage the good ear that he has.
Right. So, a couple of thoughts there. So, first of all, Viola, which ear is the one with microtia in the case of your son?
The left one.
The left ear's got microtia.
Yeah.
Okay. So, in that case, of course, he is putting a regular headphone onto the right ear.
Yeah.
And as with all of us, there is a risk, with noise exposure that one's hearing can become damaged over time. Now, of course, your riskier scenarios are if he decides to go, to a shooting range or a music concert where it's extremely loud levels, or enter into a profession where there's, as he becomes an adult, where he's exposed to noise in a factory or in a mine. Even being a paramedic, funny enough, actually gives you a high level of noise exposure because of the sirens and so on. So those are factors to consider. And of course, if you have that one ear with normal hearing, you do want to protect it. So I give you full permission, Viola. You can be a paranoid mom. You're allowed to be. You're allowed to reign with an iron fist in your home. Because it is important, and of course, kids, adolescents, teenagers, they want to listen to their music and so on. And
he is sorry to just go in there. He is 13, so he's a teenager now. I didn't have the problems before, but now they are becoming a problem now because.
So of course you want to allow him to listen to his music. I do believe that a headphone as opposed to an in-the-ear phone is a safer option because there's a little bit more protection there. There are also, it's possible to monitor the loudness levels over time. I know on an iPhone you can. I'm not sure about Android phones, but you can monitor one's listening loudness levels and make sure that it's within safe levels. And then I think in the case of listening to music, that old story of that if someone else can hear your music through your headphones, it's too loud. Yes. I think that the headphone technology these days is better than it used to be. But just watch him and, just keep having the conversation that he's aware. And also it's important to have listening breaks. So, he can listen for an hour and then he must take a break. And essentially what you're doing there is you're letting that ear recover and let him just be constantly reminding him to just keep it at a safe listening level.
No, that is awesome. Thank you so much. I think I will take that into consideration because, with children, you can't control what the sound level on their laptops, on their phones most of the time. So you do get worried. But I believe that conversation needs to be had with us as parents with Microtia kids because we have to protect that good ear. We have to protect it at all times. I believe, sorry?
I was just going to say, I think that'll lead nicely into Rochelle's question.
Yes, Rochelle has a question as well.
Okay, so Tanya, my daughter has bilateral microtia. Isabella's got grade 3 and grade 4. So hers is quite severe, if I may put it that way. With the sound ridge, so currently she's got a single sound ridge. How do we control? I mean, there are times where we're sitting in the car and she wants to watch YouTube, for example, but the noise annoys her. Like she doesn't like it. She just wants to hear whatever she's watching. What is the technology available for a middle sound bridge where it would function as would earphones to us, orthotypical?
Yeah. So with Medal, they do have a intermediary device, which is called a Samba to Go. And as far as I recall, it connects. So it's a device that Isabella could wear around her neck, and it can connect to your phone, I believe, through Bluetooth. And you also get plug and play options where you can just plug the device directly into any audio device that's got an audio port. And that then allows that sound to stream directly into the sound bridge. So that's one option you can explore. And I know that you can probably request one on a trial basis to see if it works for her and for you as a family, if it's something that's practical that'll fit into your lives. And I think as she gets older, those kinds of technologies become more and more important as they have more access to mobile phones and iPads and that sort of thing. And then the other thing to consider, and this really goes for all of the parents, is that there are a number of bone conduction headphones on the market. I'm not sure of all the brands and so on, but you can get headphones that are not linked to any particular bone conduction hearing aid or bone conduction device. But there are mainstream bone conduction headphones. So people like to use them, I don't know, while they're running or swimming, I believe. I don't know if they're waterproof, but that allows your ears to be open and you can still get that sound transduced through the bones of the skull. So I'm sure if you look online for those sorts of technologies, it might be something to explore as well. And as I say, those are mainstream devices. It's not specifically linked to any of the companies that supply bone conduction devices.
Okay, thank you. And then just one more question from me. How do you know when your child is ready for the second device? So, I mean, Isabella is severe. She's got severe hearing loss. And we had the sound bridge operation done by Dr. Mall in 2020. So it's been 2 years. She was much smaller then. So it was obviously easier to manage with pain, and that, preparing her was easy because she couldn't really understand. Now that we've had conversations, she seems content with just one hearing aid. But I mean, it's like hearing through one ear, basically.
Yes. Yeah.
How do you know when your child is ready? How do I take the next step to get her second sound bridge operation?
Yeah, I would say the sooner the better. The sooner the better, primarily just to get that bilateral processing of sound that I was speaking about. You want to get those neural pathways in the brain both firing and both functioning as early as possible. Of course, there is plasticity in the brain, that your brain can learn things at a later stage. But the younger you get those neural pathways firing, the better. So I would encourage you to go and get that second ear done as soon as it's practical and possible to do.
Thank you.
The other thing I want to say is that, remember, even though there's Microtia and Atresia, which impairs the transmission of sound into the inner ear, the inner ears themselves, generally speaking, are very normally formed. So the cochlea, even on the side of the Microtia and Atresia, that cochlea structure is normal. And if your child is listening to music through bone conduction headphones or through their devices, just bear in mind that you still need to limit the level of the loudness that they're listening at. So the theme of World Hearing Day is to listen for life. What is it? To hear for life, listen with care. So even when there is Microtia and Atresia that's impairing that ear, the outer ear, remember to still protect the inner ear of the ear with Microtia and Atresia.
Thank you so much, Tanya, for answering those questions. I think we are really learning a lot. And Fahima, you also have a question for Tanya.
Yes, I do. So Mohammed has grade 3 microtia of the left ear. And as a result of his ABR test that was done when he was 6 months old, it was found that he has moderate conductive hearing loss. He's currently unaided, so he has no hearing device. We did have a trial a few months back, but as a busy toddler, it was really difficult to keep it on him. Will this impact his speech in any way? Because currently we don't see any issues, we can't hear any issues, but long term, will that have any effect on him if he doesn't have a hearing device going forward?
So that ties in very similarly with Rochelle's question, which we've touched on a bit, which is the bilateral processing of sound. So the short answer is yes. Ideally, I would encourage you to go ahead and get a device for his left ear. From a speech and language point of view, the right ear, which has got normal access to sound, will give him an access to all the frequencies, the loudness of the sounds that he needs. He'll be able to hear the words. His vocabulary will develop as normal. So yes, his speech and language will develop as it should. However, again, from a point of view of schooling, of learning to localize where sound is coming from, to be able to detect very slight differences between sounds, between melodies, timing of sounds. These are all higher level brain functions that are important to develop in the preschool years. And by amplifying the sound on the side with Microtia and Atresia, it does again give him that access to sound, which is very idealistic. Of course, the ear with normal structure, which is his right ear, will give him the sound, but we would really like to get that processing happening through both sides of the brain, and that would be allowed through various different kinds of devices. So there are options available on the market. And it's really just worth exploring those options again with your audiologist.
Okay, thank you so much for answering the question.
Thank you so much for that question, Tanya. I think just as we are getting close to rounding up the discussion, can maybe you just give us, Tanya, a bit more options that we have as parents to be able to assist or to aid our children with hearing?
Okay, so you want me to touch on what the various device options are?
Yes, please.
Okay. So there's, as I'm sure that you're aware, there's a few options. So there are primarily 3 companies in South Africa and globally, actually, that have devices that one could use. So each of them are international companies, and they've got local support. So really, any of them are appropriate. It's not as if I would recommend one over the other. And in fact, that's part of the problem as well. How do you begin to choose? So the Oticon, the 3 companies are Oticon Medical, Cochlear, which is in South Africa. The sporting company is Southern ENT, and then of course Medal. So Oticon and Cochlear, if your child is below a certain age, those are options that one can wear on a soft band. And then when the child reaches a certain age, then those devices can be surgically implanted with an abutment. So the soft band is one option, and then there are other options, such as Cochlear's got a sound arc. So instead of having the band that goes around the head, there is a sound arc that kind of sits behind the head like this, and it looks like an Alice band. It's quite sweet. So there are various options. And then Medal similarly has a device which is the Adhere, and their approach to it is to use a sticker that sits behind the ear here. So it's a stick-on, it's a stick, click and go, or stick, click and hear, I think is their slogan. So instead of having the band, it's a sticker, and you click the processor onto the sticker. And of course, each of them has got their pros and cons, and some of them are easier at different ages. The Medal also has an option for a soft band with that same process, so you can change between the sticker and the soft band. And then once the device is implantable, that's a kind of different conversation altogether. So Oticon and Cochlear, you typically use the same device that you then, the abutment is surgically implanted, and the device then clicks onto that abutment on one or both sides. Whereas Medal has a couple of options of surgically implanted devices, such as the sound bridge, which Rochelle was referring to. Isabella's got a sound bridge. And what's unique with the sound bridge is that the processor, the part that vibrates, is actually housed inside the middle ear itself, which is, of course, a much more complicated surgery, but it is unique in the fact that it gives that direct stimulation to that particular cochlea, and it allows for true bilateral processing. And I do believe that the other companies are most likely working on something similar. So that's the sound bridge. And then Medal's also got a bone bridge, which is similar in concept to the others, except that the vibrating portion is underneath the skin as opposed to an external abutment. So as you can see, there's a wealth of options out there. And it's a process of, this conversation can take an hour at least, with an individual consultation with your own audiologist, advising you what they believe is best for your family, for your child, for their particular structure. So yeah, I really encourage you, if you, as a parent, if you don't have an audiologist that you feel is sort of in your corner, I would encourage you to find one. We are professionals who are passionate about hearing, and really prepared to kind of walk alongside with you as you journey through the process with your child, and really guide you and equip you with knowledge and information that you can make informed decisions about what's best for your child and for your family unit.
Thank you so much, Tanya. I think we had a great time and a great information that you have really. Thank you so much for taking your time to share the knowledge that we need as parents. And I just want to encourage the parents, you can visit our website, which is givenearfoundation.org, where we have put a lot of information about hearing and the devices that are available, and what you can do to be able to assist your child to hear better. And in line with the theme, to hear for life, listen with care, we want to appreciate you so much. Thank you, Tanya, for coming in and sharing your knowledge with us as a foundation. And thank you so much, Rochelle. Thank you, Fahima, for joining in. And we hope that we're going to have another one of these discussions where we are empowering each other as parents to be able to know how to handle the situation. We know how to help our children with hearing. And we want to say to everybody, happy World Hearing Day. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ladies.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.